Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to the Division 2. Have y'all ever experienced the phenomenon where a new item comes out in the game, you're obsessed with using it, but you can't quite place your finger on why? Well, that is kind of me right now with this season's new exotic LMG, the Pecan. This thing is super fun, and I think it's quite strong beyond what many are currently giving it credit for, but let's be real, once this new exotic skin drops for it, none of you guys are ever going to run another weapon again. Jokes aside, in this video, I want to spotlight the weapon for anybody who hasn't gotten it or used it yet, and really just discuss why I'm loving it right now. We'll get right to it. Really quickly, I wanted to shout out that I just launched a new merch store here for the channel. We've got hoodies, shirts, accessories, the whole deal. You can check it out at roguegold.store. There will be a link down in the description of this video and all my future ones. Many thanks if you do decide to check it out and support me. Additionally, shout out to our channel members for your continued support of my content here. It is beyond appreciated and enables me to do what I do. But with all of that down, let's get to this. Now, before we take a look at the weapon itself, I wanted to very quickly shout out where you can get it, in case you don't have one yet. The Pecan, as of right now, is awarded at rank 69 of the Year 7 Season 1 Season Pass. That is, again, for the Crossroads season. If you are watching this video or playing while that season is active, you can just level up your Season Pass and get it from there. Otherwise, if you're watching this further into the future and the Crossroads season has concluded, the Pecan will be out in the general loot pool for you to go and farm. Countdown with the proper targeted loot selected is usually your best bet. Taking a look at the item itself here though, the flavor text reads, pack another one of those big mags. And if we take a closer look at the gun, you can see the visuals here. Looks quite cool. For anyone who doesn't know, this was an exotic that was available back in the Division 1, so the design very much mimics what we had back in that game. But again, as soon as we get that exotic skin sometime soon, I'm rocking that non-stop. But anyway, moving on to the actual stats of the weapon itself. For anyone who doesn't know, and perhaps this, maybe plays into the fact that this feels a bit underrated right now, the Pecan got a pretty significant buff between when it was presented on the public test server for this update and how it is now in the live game. There were, I believe, 4 individual buffs that this thing got. For one, they increased the amount of magazine size that you get from its talent per kill once you reload, and then all based on the 4 mods that this thing comes with, it got an increase to its weapon damage. They redistributed but increased the amount of crit chance that you get, and they added and increased how much reload speed you get from these as well. So if we take a look at the item right here, obviously it's got its usual core attributes and stats there. If we move on down to the talent and mods though, the talent is very simple. Each kill with this weapon gains a stack of 75% base magazine size increase to the next magazine, up to 4 stacks. So if you max this out and get 4 stacks, then your next reload will take your magazine up by 300% of its base magazine size, and we'll show that off in the shooting range in a moment. But then if we look at the mods here, these are actually very solid. On the optic, you get 15% weapon damage. Obviously the magazine gets the 20 rounds there. The underbarrel, you get a 10% reload speed bump, and then the muzzle gives you 15% crit chance, which is very nice. Usually LMGs have trouble building up crit because you don't get it anywhere on the gun. Usually the mods won't include that either. But yeah, all in all, mod-wise, the Pecan is quite solid. Alright, and then if we go down to the shooting range here, for whatever reason, the talent for this one is tracked on your HUD instead of on the AR display on the side of the weapon. But for each kill, you'll see that the little Pecan icon down on my HUD is filling up that bar. So that's 1, 2 kills, it's now halfway. I get another, that's 3, and the last one goes to 4. The bar is now maxed out, and that means on my next reload, the magazine size goes up to 181. This is the highest amount of magazine you can get on this weapon if you don't have any magazine size enhancing perks on your build. And then yeah, you can keep this going pretty well because now with a 181 mag, you're much more likely to be able to get 4 kills before your next reload, so you can keep that amount of magazine size going pretty easily. Alright, so you've seen all of that. Maybe you're like, okay, it's a cool party trick, but how is the Pecan a worthy exotic when you're just getting some extra rounds? You have the likes of the Pestilence, which deals additional damage with its talent via the plague stacks. You have the blue screen, which I vouch for myself, it has amazing crowd control. Hell, you've even got the Bullet King, which never makes you reload at all. So where does the Pecan fit in? Well, in my view, some of its best value comes down to the concepts of burst and sustain DPS. Now, I just want to be clear, I'm no expert here. I am not the person, as there are many wonderful people in the community who go in and crunch these numbers. I will always recommend for you to refer to those people who are more knowledgeable in this realm. But to the best of my knowledge, the Pecan's base model, which is the RPK, after the huge balancing wave that we got back in TU22, the RPK was one of, if not the best LMG for burst DPS, which, if you don't know what that means, it's just how much damage you are doing in a limited window of time where every weapon is starting from the same starting line. right? From the top of your mag, with whatever bonuses, what does the most damage? The RPK's weakness came in sustained DPS, right? Even though it has great damage and rate of fire and overall handling, its lower magazine size and its relatively long reload speed makes it lose out when you compare a sprint of damage to a marathon that's then spread out over several magazines and minutes. The brilliance of the pecan here is that it begins to blend those lines, because suddenly you have an RPK that can achieve nearly 200 rounds in the magazine from just its talent alone. You can then further increase that closer to 300 if you spec into magazine size or run something like the Centurion's holster exotic. Now, let me be very clear, the pecan is not the absolute strongest item in the game, and it's not going to excel in every single kind of encounter. You still need to be getting consistent kills to buff up the mag size. However, for your average heroic PvE content usage, which is the type of PvE content that I tend to play the most, I believe it is a really strong and so far pretty underrated across the community option for good and reliable DPS. LMGs inherently have really great stopping power because of their stats. The RPK has always shared the benefit of that, but felt more like an AR in terms of mag size and all of that, but the pecan takes that to the next level with these long periods of sustained DPS. If you are curious what build you've been seeing in the background, this is it right here. It's nothing too special. It is your pretty typical striker loadout. I'd quite literally just swapped out my Lexington primary on here for the pecan, and this still works wonders. If you are somebody who has been using the pecan and you have your own kind of loadouts that you've worked out for, things that you think might work even better than what I'm doing here, I would certainly love it if you would share those down in the comments below. But yeah, overall, I've just been having a lot of fun with this weapon since the season began, and I wanted to highlight it in a video. My friends, that is just about everything I've got for you on this one. Beyond those build recommendations that I was shouting out a moment ago, I would love to hear your thoughts and impressions on this weapon. If you like it, let me know why. I've also seen some people out there saying that this item is absolutely terrible and it needs a buff. If that's you, I would love to know why you think so. But as always, if you enjoyed the video and you want to catch more from me in the future, I would appreciate you clicking that subscribe button if you've not already. We'd love to see you back around. That's going to do it for me on this one though, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you back soon, but until then, RogueGold out.